as complicated as these financial regulation and deregulation issues are, and the inner workings of this horror that's called capitalism, as opaque and impossible for me to understand, those inner workings, only the capitalists, the real capitalists, the ones who don't make anything, they just manipulate things, only they understand it. But even though I operate from that position of almost 100% ignorance, I can tell you that, like a normal human being, like you perhaps, I can see the results. I can see the damage done. I can look around a city like Atlanta and see thousands upon thousands of foreclosures that occurred here. And I can see that those houses now are rental properties bought up cash for the 1/10 of 1% who engineered the disaster to begin with. I see this, and I read, and I hear about the stories about people who literally lost every. They didn't lose their lives, they didn't lose their spouses or their children, but they lost everything material that they needed in order to survive in a materialist society. Now, a perfect solution would be to end the industrialization that is killing the planet. Go back to a simpler, and I'm not just tossing stuff out here that makes no sense. There are all kinds of ways to do this, whether it's co-ops or whatever it is. But for the sake of time, to get rid of the industrialization of the planet that is killing the entire planet, to get rid of the banking system, to get rid of the system of interest. I mean, all of these systems that have been set up by the capitalists in order to steal, loot, defraud, and take. And in an attempt to bring some of that, not to a stop, but to slow it down so that the American public maybe could catch its breath and take another look at Glass-Steagall and ask their elected representatives to bring that back. I'm laughing because I realize as I'm saying it that the elected representatives don't give a rat's ass about the voters who put them there. What they care about is the money that was spent to convince the voters to put them there and who came up with the money. The Koch brothers are single-handedly, this goddamn Koch brother organization is like a billion-headed hydra. It's like an octopus with a trillion tentacles that just latch onto everything and suck it dry. And I keep wondering when will the American people understand what's being done to them? And I look at these goddamn ammosexuals, these gun nuts, and I think, you know, there is an enemy out there, but it's not the people who want to teach science in the schools. It's not the people who are trying to do a decent job. It's time to quote from the speech, December 2nd, 1964, at Sproul Hall, University of California, Berkeley. There is a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart, that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. Now, what did Mario Savio mean by free? Did he mean free to impose your religious garbage on somebody, or free to walk through a department store with an AK-47 strapped to your ass? I don't think so. So I keep wondering, when are the people in this country going to put their bodies on the gears, on the wheels, on the levers, upon all the apparatus, and make it stop. You think ever? Do you think it'll ever happen? Or are we drifting towards kind of an Orwellian future where thought crimes are punished by torture until you finally break and love Big Brother, where Newspeak exists? Newspeak is already crawling all over the American landscape. I mean, words don't mean anything that they were intended to mean anymore. So I just wonder. And you've got to indicate to the people who run the machine, to the people who own the machine, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. Now, the usual right wing response to that is that Savio was talking in an entirely different context. He was talking about free speech movement. He was talking about the workings of the University of California. But if this is not a universal declaration of resistance, I don't know whenever one was put together. There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. Would that we, the American people, would finally come to that point. We'll be back. Stay with us.